As vegans, and especially if you were outspoken, which I encourage everyone to always be outspoken, it can be really frustrating and really disheartening when we think about how slow justice seems to be moving, right? We might not sit around and mope, but I think that most vegans do consider the fact that trillions of animals are slaughtered every year needlessly. And right now, as I speak, there are pigs screaming in gas chambers for their last breath so that somebody can eat their bodies. It's very disturbing, it's very disheartening, it's very frustrating, and it can really be hard to handle. However, I come today with some good news. I've been doing some research. And what I'm about to tell you is based strictly on fact, research, and logic. So we cannot predict the future with 100% certainty. However, we can predict it with 99.9% certainty, right? We knew in the past that medicine was going to evolve, right? At the time when we were sawing off people's body parts and having them bite on a rag soaked in whiskey, we knew that eventually there would be a solution to this. So history arcs towards progress and it also arcs towards justice. Animal agriculture, using animals for food, 100% will end. And here's why. In 150 years from now, raising animals and slaughtering them for food is going to be gone. And not because of opinion, but because the science, the economics, and the environment all point in one direction. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization tells us that livestock contributes to about 20% of global greenhouse gases. That's more than all the world's cars, trucks, planes, and ships combined. This cannot last, not sustainable. So, in 50 years from now, by the 2070s, slaughtering animals for food is going to be in sharp decline. Our World in Data tells us that 77% of global farmland is used for animals and their feed, but it only gives us about 18% of our calories. As the population expands, this is not going to work. It is wasteful. New technologies like plant based meat, fermentation, and lab grown meat are getting cheaper every year. Just like cars replaced horses in just a few decades, alternatives will replace meat once they're cheaper and taste the same. So in 50 years, consuming slaughtered animals, it's going to still exist, but mostly as a niche product. The center of the human diet will already have shifted by that time. In 100 years from now, I'll probably be dead unless medicine moves quicker than vegans. By the 2120s, this cultural shift is going to be complete. Raising billions of animals in factory farms just to slaughter them will be seen as cruel and unnecessary. The World Health Organization tells us also that 70% of antibiotics are used in livestock, and that's driving antibiotic resistance, not overusing antibiotics on ourselves, but on the animals. It's a huge threat to human health. In the future, human society will look back and think it is bizarrely reckless to risk global medicine for cheap meat. We have alternatives like fermentation proteins, and they're going to be everywhere. Just like slavery, public executions are now unthinkable and disgusting. Raising animals for food will feel like a barbaric relic, which it is, of course, barbaric to slaughter an animal unnecessarily. So by the 2170s, animal agriculture will not exist at scale. It won't be banned, it will have basically disappeared because it's going to be obsolete. Climate scientists tell us freeing up land from cattle and feed crops is one of the biggest opportunities for carbon capture and rewilding. By then, much of the land will be forest again. Our food is going to be richer, safer, more diverse. Lab grown protein, designer foods, even flavors of animals that never existed, and I don't know, maybe mammoth burgers or giraffe burgers, I don't know, will exist. So the ethical question is going to be settled. People will look back in disbelief that we ever killed billions of animals and thought it was normal. So let me be clear. This is not speculation. This is fact. According to the UN, the WHO, and decades of agricultural data, animal farming is inefficient, destructive, and unsustainable, as well as morally reprehensible. When current technology trends and alternatives continue to scale, we will outcompete animal flesh. Animal agriculture will end, not because of idealism, but because the math, the science, and morality all demand it. So this is, to me, quite a positive thing that I've discovered in my research. Because knowing that veganism will be the future makes it easier to live right now among people who think it is okay to unnecessarily slaughter animals for taste pleasure. Um, we could make that timeline move faster if we insist on speaking up. We could advance that timeline and make things move faster if we insist on being heard, if we refuse to equivocate, and if we do not retreat a single inch. We could make the timeline move faster. So, do not speak with moderation, do not equivocate, and do not retreat a single inch, and be heard.